What if I told you that some of Earth's greatest mysteries aren't hidden in space? They're right here, scattered across deserts, frozen beneath glaciers, and stretching across landscapes that scientists are still trying to understand. Perfect circles that appear by the millions, a glacier that seems to bleed, rocks that move on their own, and a giant structure so unusual that some believe it inspired the legend of Atlantis. These places aren't myths, they exist, and each one reminds us that our planet still holds secrets. Let's begin in one of the harshest deserts on Earth. From high above the Namib Desert, the ground looks strangely organized, not by roads, not by rivers, but by circles. Millions of them, each almost perfectly spaced from the next. Some are only a few meters wide, others stretch more than 10 meters across. Inside each circle, almost nothing grows. Around them, the grass thrives. For decades, these strange formations became known as fairy circles. Local traditions gave them supernatural origins. Some believed they were left behind by spirits. Others imagined invisible forces beneath the ground. Scientists had their own theories. One idea suggested that sand termites consumed the vegetation from below. Another proposed that the plants themselves were responsible. In one of the harshest environments on Earth, every drop of water matters. Some researchers believe the grasses naturally compete for limited moisture, creating evenly spaced patches where only the strongest survive. Computer models have shown that simple competition can produce remarkably regular patterns without anyone designing them. Recent studies suggest that both termites and plant competition may play important roles, depending on the region. In other words, nature may be using more than one solution to create the same mystery, and perhaps that's the most fascinating part. The circles aren't random, they're organized, almost as if the desert itself has learned mathematics. But deserts aren't the only places hiding impossible sights. Thousands of kilometers away, at the edge of Antarctica, another mystery flows from the ice. At first glance, it looks exactly like blood. A deep red stream pours from the face of a massive glacier, staining the brilliant white ice beneath it. For over a century, explorers struggled to explain what they were seeing. Some believed unusual algae caused the color. Others had no explanation at all. The truth turned out to be even more extraordinary. Hidden beneath the glacier lies an ancient reservoir of extremely salty water, trapped beneath the ice for millions of years. That water contains large amounts of dissolved iron. As it slowly reaches the surface, the iron reacts with oxygen in the air, just like metal rusting. The result? A waterfall that appears to bleed. But blood falls isn't remarkable only because of its color. Scientists discovered tiny microorganisms surviving inside that isolated, oxygen-poor environment. Life, finding a way where almost nothing should survive. And that discovery changed more than our understanding of Antarctica. If microscopic life can endure beneath kilometers of ice on Earth, could similar life exist beneath the frozen oceans of Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's moon Enceladus? Sometimes, the greatest discoveries about our planet help us search for life beyond it. But Earth's next mystery doesn't flow. It moves, slowly, silently, across the floor of one of the hottest places on Earth. Death Valley. Even the name sounds unforgiving. Temperatures here can climb above 50 degrees Celsius. Rain is rare. Water disappears almost as quickly as it arrives. At first glance, racetrack Playa looks completely lifeless. But look closer. Scattered across the dry lake bed are hundreds of rocks. Nothing unusual about that, until you notice the trails behind them. Long, straight, sometimes stretching for hundreds of meters, as if the rocks had simply decided to walk away. For decades, visitors stood in the same place asking the same question: who or what moved them? There were no footprints, no tire tracks, no signs of human interference, just heavy stones, and the mysterious paths they left behind. Some believed powerful magnetic forces were at work. Others blamed earthquakes. A few even suggested something far stranger. The mystery became so famous that it inspired countless books, documentaries, and theories. Yet no one had ever actually seen the rocks move. Then, in 2014, researchers finally witnessed the impossible. During unusually cold winter nights, a thin sheet of ice formed across the playa. As morning sunlight warmed the surface, the ice began to crack into enormous floating panels. Gentle winds, barely strong enough to move a person, slowly pushed those panels across the wet mud. The rocks moved with them. Not quickly, not dramatically, sometimes only a few centimeters each second, but over hours. They quietly carved the long trails that had puzzled people for generations. The mystery was solved. Or was it? Because perhaps the most surprising lesson wasn't that the rocks could move. It was that the answer required the perfect combination of rain, freezing temperatures, melting ice, soft mud, and gentle wind. A sequence so rare that almost nobody had witnessed it before. Sometimes, nature doesn't hide its secrets. It simply waits for the right moment to reveal them. And then, there's one mystery that can be seen from space. Travel to the heart of the Sahara Desert in Mauritania, and you'll find a formation unlike anything else on Earth. From the ground, it doesn't seem particularly unusual. But from orbit, it's breathtaking. A series of enormous concentric rings nearly 40 kilometers across, carved into the desert like the eye of a giant. Today it's known as the Richa structure, or more famously, the Eye of the Sahara. For astronauts aboard the International Space Station, it's one of the easiest landmarks to recognize from orbit. Its near-perfect circular appearance has fascinated explorers, geologists, and dreamers alike. Naturally, people began asking questions. Could it be the remains of an ancient impact crater, a giant volcano, or something even more extraordinary? One idea quickly captured the imagination of the internet. Atlantis, the legendary island described by the Greek philosopher Critias, has often been portrayed as a city surrounded by concentric rings of land and water. To some enthusiasts, the Rishat structure seemed like an astonishing match. Its circular layout, its immense size, its location in North Africa, all appeared, at first glance, to fit parts of the ancient description. Videos, articles, and online discussions spread rapidly, suggesting the Eye of the Sahara had finally revealed the location of the lost civilization. But what does the evidence say? Geologists have spent decades studying the Rishat structure. Today, the strongest evidence indicates it is a natural geological formation, created over millions of years as layers of rock were uplifted and then gradually exposed by erosion. The circular rings aren't the walls of a forgotten city. They're different rock layers revealed as softer material wore away. And despite years of exploration, no accepted archaeological evidence has shown that a vast lost civilization once stood here. Does that mean the mystery is gone? Not at all.